Welcome to AmdiVibes, where today, we are solving a mystery that baffled the ancient world for centuries. Two enormous stone statues sitting in the Egyptian desert, perfectly still, perfectly silent, except every morning at dawn one of them sings. Not metaphorically, not poetically, actually sings. A haunting, resonant sound rising from solid stone in the first light of morning, heard by Roman emperors, Greek philosophers, and ordinary travelers from across the ancient world, documented by dozens of independent witnesses across hundreds of years. A singing statue in the middle of the Egyptian desert. For 2,000 years nobody could explain it, until science finally caught up with one of history's most extraordinary phenomena. This is the story of the Colossi of Memnon. The statuette is 1350 BC. Egypt is at the absolute peak of its power and glory. Pharaoh Amenhotep III, one of the greatest rulers in Egyptian history, is building the most magnificent mortuary temple ever constructed on Egyptian soil. A temple so vast, so richly decorated, so breathtaking in its scale that ancient visitors will describe it as one of the wonders of the world. To guard the entrance, he erects two enormous statues of himself. Each statue stands 18 meters tall. That is 6 stories high. Each one carved from a single block of quartzite sandstone, weighing approximately 720 tons. Transported from quarries hundreds of miles away, erected with a precision that still impresses modern engineers. They sit facing east, watching the sunrise, watching the Nile, watching the world go by. For centuries, they are simply magnificent statues, silent guardians of a magnificent temple. And then, in 27 BC, an earthquake strikes. The earthquake that changed everything. Earthquake of 27 BC damages the northern statue significantly. The upper half cracks and partially collapses. The stone fractures. The internal structure of the statue is disrupted in ways that nobody fully understands at the time. And then the morning after the earthquake, something extraordinary happens. At dawn, as the sun rises and the first light of morning touches the damaged statue, it makes a sound, not a crash, not a rumble, not the sound of settling stone, a musical sound, a resonant, haunting tone that ancient witnesses describe as singing, as the sound of a lyre string being plucked, as the voice of a god speaking from inside the stone. Word spreads immediately, because in ancient world a statue that sings is not just a curiosity, it is a miracle. The legend of Memnon here at AmdiVibes. This is where mythology and reality collide in the most fascinating way. The Greeks and Romans who encounter the singing statue do not call it Amenhotep. They call it Memnon. In Greek mythology, Memnon is a legendary Ethiopian king and warrior, son of the goddess of dawn Eos. He fights in the Trojan War on the side of Troy and is killed by Achilles. His mother Eos grieves him eternally. Her tears are the morning dew, and when Greek travelers hear the statue singing at dawn, they decide immediately that this must be Memnon, crying out to his mother at the moment of sunrise, greeting the goddess of dawn with his voice every morning as she crosses the sky. The story is beautiful. The story spreads everywhere, and the statue becomes one of the most famous tourist attractions in the entire ancient world. The visitors. What follows is one of the most extraordinary visitor logs in human history. For nearly 200 years, from roughly 27 BC to 199 D, the singing statue of Memnon draws visitors from across the ancient world. Not ordinary visitors, the most powerful people on earth. The Roman Emperor Hadrian, one of the greatest emperors in Roman history, visits in 130 AD. He brings his entire court. They camp near the statue for several days waiting for the right conditions to hear it sing. When it finally sings, Hadrian is reportedly moved to tears. A poem written by his court poet commemorating the visit is still inscribed on the statue's legs today. The Greek geographer Strabo visits and documents the sound carefully. He describes it as occurring at the moment of sunrise, specifically when the first light of the sun strikes the stone. The Roman writer Pausanias visits. He describes it as the sound of a lyre string breaking. Dozens of inscriptions carved into the legs of the statue by ancient visitors survive to this day. Tourists from the ancient world leaving their names and their testimony. I was here, I heard it, It was real. The statue sings for nearly 2 centuries. And then, in 199 D, the Roman Emperor Septimius Severus orders the damaged upper half of the statue restored. The restoration is carried out with good intentions, and it silences the statue permanently. After 199 AD, the Colossus of Memnon never sings again. The miracle is gone, and for nearly 2,000 years nobody can explain what it was. The science catches Cupid is the 20th century. Archaeologists and scientists armed with modern tools finally turn their attention to the mystery, and what they find is elegant, beautiful, and completely natural. The answer is thermal expansion. Here is how it works. The Egyptian desert at night is cold. The stone of the statue cools overnight and contracts very slightly. The internal cracks created by the earthquake running through the damaged upper section of the statue close fractionally as the stone contracts. Then dawn comes. The sun rises. The first light strikes the eastern face of the statue. The stone begins to warm. It begins to expand. The cracks which closed overnight begin to open again. And as the stone expands and the cracks shift, they release trapped air and moisture. The stone vibrates. The sound resonates through the massive body of the statue. And the statue sings. Not the voice of a god. Not a grieving warrior calling to his mother. Physics. Chemistry. The simple, beautiful, inevitable behavior of stone responding to temperature change. The earthquake cracked the statue in exactly the right way. The desert climate created exactly the right temperature differential between night and day. The quartzite stone had exactly the right acoustic properties to resonate the sound. A perfect accident of nature, creating a phenomenon so extraordinary that it convinced the ancient world they were hearing the voice of a god. And when Septimius Severus restored the statue, filling the cracks, reinforcing the structure, repairing the damage, he inadvertently destroyed the mechanism that created the sound. He fixed the statue and silenced the miracle. The mystery really tells us, so the mystery is solved. But here's what stays with you after the science is explained. For nearly 200 years, the most educated, most sophisticated, most powerful people in the ancient world heard this sound. Emperors, philosophers, geographers, writers, people who were not naive, people who were not easily impressed, and every single one of them interpreted it as supernatural, not because they were foolish, because they did not have the framework to understand what they were experiencing. They had no concept of thermal expansion, no understanding of acoustic resonance, no model of the physical world that could accommodate a natural explanation for what they were hearing. So they reached for the explanation that their world did provide. A god, a miracle, a grieving warrior calling to his mother at dawn. The explanation was wrong, but the experience was real. And that distinction between the reality of an experience and the accuracy of its interpretation is one of the most important lessons in all of human history. The lesson. So what does the story of the singing statues teach us? It teaches us that the gap between experience and understanding is where mythology is born. Human beings have always experienced things they could not explain, and they have always filled that gap with the most meaningful story available to them. Gods, miracles, magic, fate. These stories are not stupidity. They are humanity, the natural response of a meaning-seeking creature to a world that does not always offer easy explanations. The second lesson is about the cost of fixing things. Septimius Severus meant well. He saw a damaged statue and repaired it. He had no idea he was destroying something extraordinary in the process. Sometimes the broken thing is not just broken. Sometimes the crack is where the music comes from. Before you rush to fix what appears damaged, ask yourself whether what looks like damage might actually be the source of something beautiful. And the final lesson is about wonder. The ancient visitors who heard the statue sing and wept, they were not wrong to be moved. They were not foolish to be amazed. The sound was real. The experience was genuine. The wonder was entirely appropriate. The explanation changed. The wonder did not have to. Science does not kill mystery. It just gives mystery a better name. Here at AmdiVibes, we tell these stories because the world is full of phenomena that once seemed impossible and now seem obvious, and that movement from impossible to obvious is one of the most beautiful journeys in human knowledge. If this story moved you, share it with someone today. Subscribe to AmdiVibes for more stories that change how you see the world. We'll see you in the next one.